Good, beautiful people. This is another episode of the Chasing Points podcast, episode 134 to be exact. Harrison, Sam, and myself are back to give you a rundown on all the shit that we just missed and all that is to come. Since it is not on our rundown, hopefully tonight the Rangers close out the series against the Hurricanes. It would be great. I would appreciate it. So thank you, Rangers, in advance. Gentlemen, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to basketball. We got Bronny apparently still going to the draft, which I still believe is a mistake. We have the Nuggets and Pacers tying up the series in blowout fashion. We have the Celtics and Mavs up 2-1 in their series. We have those series coming up. The Hawks got the number one pick in the NBA draft. Very, very interesting in there. The Joker, another MVP, but also coupled with some drama from a former MVP and a Hall of Famer in football. We'll get to that somehow, some way, too. We'll give you a little rundown on that. Sam's got his power rankings for the second week in a row. Sam is letting you guys know he's paying attention to baseball, so thank you, Sam, for letting us know. We have also some Do You Care, which includes Austin Rivers, which I never in my lifetime thought that I would be talking about Austin Rivers on this podcast. So with that being said, gentlemen, how the hell are you doing?
Well, if we're not talking about his dad, we have to be talking about him, I guess.
Fair.
Keep
That's
it another
fair.
week
That is
talking
fair.
about the Rivers fam. No, I'm good, man. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday. Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there.
Yep.
And
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm good. It's a good millennial pause by Hayes in the beginning.
There was
So
none. There was none. I went right in. I didn't even do it. Went right in. Sorry.
I tried to give you some props, but I'll take them. I retract.
You should. You should. Yeah. No more millennial pauses over here. We don't want to look like
we don't want
the
what
rest
we're
of the
doing.
folks out here. We'll just get to it. Yeah. We'll get to it. We're up on the trends, guys. Yeah, whatever. So, as I mentioned at the top, Nuggets, Pacers tie the series up. I know we were on here and we did not get ahead of ourselves, which I'm very thankful we did not after the Timberwolves went up. We said very, very clearly, if you guys listen and if it's your first time listening, I will make it clear for you again. We said that if the Timberwolves were to win the next game, the series was over. Well, the Timberwolves did not win the next game or the game after that, and Jamal Murray is hitting half-court shots and just running off the court in true fashion. Pacers absolutely smacked the Knicks. Sorry, Sam.
Good, man.
And won by 32 points. That was an absolute embarrassment. But let's start there because I feel like we have more to talk about there right now, but I think we have a lot to talk about both. But let's just talk about the Knicks Pacers. A lot of people wrote the Pacers off immediately when it came to this series, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous because they are offensively able to keep up with a lot of teams. As Harrison alluded to, though, last time, their defense is sus. But it kind of helps when you're going against a Knicks team that doesn't have their full roster and they're missing some of their extremely key players, and some of their other key players are playing entirely too much at this point in time and cannot get rest. I mean, Josh Hart has literally played damn near every minute except for like 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, how do you think this series is going to, or the way it's shaping up now, I should say, how do you think this series is going to play out now at this point in time? Because it looks like it can go any which way. It really just depends on what is to come next.
So I had it going 7 when we talked last. I still think it's on track for that. Like you said, the Pacers really ran away with it last game. I'm chalking that one up. That was a little bit of an anomaly. I think they'll be closer throughout for the rest of the series. Mm-hmm. But I have concerns about the Knicks' depth and their ability to stay healthy and in games. I thought it would happen in the next series. I thought they would win and go on to play the Celtics, and then that's when it would really show of how much they're just beat up and they don't have much left in the tank. But maybe it's showing now, but I still think they have the ability to pull through, pull a couple games out. use the home court at MSG to get this to go to 7, and then it's really a toss up from there.
Yeah, they won every game against Philly, or it was the home team won every game, right? Go back and forth.
Yep.
I mean, that's you want to utilize that momentum, leverage that momentum right now. But yeah, they're just depleted. I mean, Tibbs plays what is rotation, like 7 guys, and that's with OG Anunoby, who's probably done.
Yeah.
At least for the series, God for hopefully, as a Knicks fan here, we make it. I'm saying we, but it's tough. We knew the Pacers could score. We said it before the series. We said it probably talking about the previous series they were in. They could score with the best of them, and can they stop them? We'll see. But it doesn't look good. You've lost OG. Julius Randle, Robinson as well.
Robinson.
So, and the depth just isn't there. And at some point, playing your guys to the extent you just alluded to, Hayes, Josh Hart finally sat down at some point in Game 3, right? So it was.
Yeah, they tweeted it out the first time he sat down. It was like a monumental occurrence.
Yes.
And
So I mean,
it's going to be a long series.
You're saying at some point. Well, is this the point? Is this the point that this is starting to show? Because it looks like it is. I agree with Harrison's opening statement, is that I don't believe that the series will continue to go like this, where they're beating them by 32 points. I don't think that's the case. The Knicks are too good. But I do believe that this could be what it's going to be for the Knicks moving forward, because they don't have the time to rest. If they can somehow, some way get out of this series extremely quick from this point in time and allow themselves to get some rest, that would be the greatest thing for them. But I don't see that happening, period. I see this going 7 games, and that's not going to help them in their cause of moving forward, especially because they're most likely going to play the Celtics next. So is this the end of this for them right now? What do you think it is going to be?
I mean, from the moment this started, it's how I saw it in my head. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought they would get the Pacers. I thought it would go 7. I thought, they'd give them everything they got in the home crowd in MSG and the momentum there. I think they'd take 7. But then I thought when they got to the Celtics, it would just be a wrap for them. They just don't have enough depth. I have questions for Tibbs. Like, I get it. I hear a lot of fans say, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. But, like, I watched Precious Achiuwa go in for OG and give them good minutes. And there's really no reason why he can't be trusted during the season to give them 10 minutes. Yeah. Like, that's all you really need. You just need a breather for some of these guys. And I just think he needs to reevaluate
Burks too, man.
Going into next year.
The
Burks
same
too.
thing.
I hear Knicks fans just shit on Alec Burks all the time, and then I watch him go in, and he can give you 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
These guys can give you 10 minutes, and it's just how do you use them throughout the season so that when you get to this point, you're not completely depleted. So that would just be, my question for them looking back. Like, I get it. It's old school basketball. You're going to play every minute. You're going to play hard. But that just doesn't work anymore, and they need to find a way to use their depth throughout the year. Maybe it's if you got to give up a couple games and you're a 6 seed instead of a 4, I think that's worth it to get to this point, knowing that you have what you have in the playoffs. So they're going to have to do some reflecting on how they manage the roster, because playing like this for 4 series straight is an impossibility.
I think that's a knock on Tibbs, though, because this has been
It's
brought out. This is not the first time Tibbs has done this. Essentially, run his guys into the ground. So this is who he is as a coach.
This is a career, of him doing this.
Yeah, I'm not to take anything away from him. He is a great coach. We know he's a great defensive coach and all around, and people do respect him. But this is who he is. This is what his teams have been. I'm going to ride my starters to continue to go, which is no issue if you allow other players to come in and give those guys a rest. I know in this situation is a little tougher because they don't really have the rotational guys that they got to come in and come and play and do what they have to do. Like, it's a big loss with Bogdanovich down and as you said, Mitchell and so on and so forth, right? Yeah. So it's not helping their team. If they had all those pieces, I think this series would have been over. Like, it's essentially would have been over. They would have been able to be like, yeah, this is not going to happen. But with Brunson being out there nonstop, Hart being out there nonstop, like it's just going to catch up. And the Pacers have all their rotational players in a deep bench. So they're able to do and keep rotating people out and keeping people fresh. And I think that's showing at this point.
They were within possessions of going up 3-0.
Yep.
So it's like it's a whole different story if, they close out game 3. But like it's a domino effect. Like, you have to play your rotational guys throughout the year, and you have to give up a few games. Like, I understand you want to win every game, but if it takes giving some guys some minutes and giving them a breather so that they're fresher later on, that's just my opinion and approach on it. I'm not an NBA head coach, but it's obviously showing now that they just don't have anything left. They literally have 6 guys.
Yeah.
And that's just
not gonna work this time of year. Yeah. No. It's not going to work at any time in the year, honestly, but it's definitely not going to work this time of the year.
The goal in the playoffs is you do shorten your rotation.
Yes, for sure.
Hopefully you get to 8. You maybe can get away with playing 7, but not playing 8 or 7 when those 8 or 7 are literally already at the end of their gas.
And 48 minutes a game, or even 40 minutes a game for and if this series has to go at least 6 for them to advance, and with or without Porzingis, and I don't see them, say the Knicks just get through with or without Porzingis here. I don't think they beat the Celtics. So, but again, this is Tom Thibodeau. This is nothing new. I'm sure it's will continue to be addressed, but unfortunately, I don't like blaming things on injuries. With OG is the difference maker. You could even take without Julius Randle on the court, I think it's fine. But just the versatility that he's able to do and how he can free up guys like Josh Hart to just be that Swiss Army knife. It's just it's going to come crashing down at some point, and you're right, we may already be seeing it.
Yep. I'm okay with blaming things on injuries when you do the things ahead of time to prevent them. But these were it's like it was obvious that it was going to get to this point.
Yes.
Like, whether it was this round or the next round.
Yes.
So it's like there has to be some preventative measures done in the regular season to where that you can at least attempt to try to go into the playoffs at full strength. And if injuries happen then. It is what it is. But it seems, hindsight is 20/20, but people were saying this a long time ago.
Right.
But that's just Tibbs.
Well, last thing I'll say before we move on to the Nuggets and Timberwolves is that was the whole purpose of them going and get Alec Burke back. Yeah. Alec Burke, when he was with the Knicks before with Tibbs, was doing his thing. Now, obviously, they have a different team or whatnot, but he's still a guy that can give you some valuable minutes and allow your guys to get some rest. So play him. Play the guys that are on your bench. Allow them to do what they're supposed to do so your main guys can get rest and they can do what they really need to do against this Pacers team.
And I'll say one thing, too. Dante's shooting the lights out. And Brunson, I don't know how long you can just bank on Brunson putting up 1 billion shots and Dante hitting everything. And I love it, man. It's great. Let Mike Breen bring out all the bangs there are. I love it. But at some point, you that's going to dry up too. And where are you at? So, I have my concerns. Hopefully it's a great rest of the series.
When this is all said and done, 1,000% it's going to come out that Brunson has a broken foot.
Oh, yeah. There's something. Yeah.
He's 100% getting cortisone shots before every game now.
Agreed.
Just an absolute warrior.
Speaking of a warrior, the 3-time MVP, Jokic, and his team have roared back in war against this damn Timberwolves team. And they have proven why they are the champs at this point in time. And they said, oh, you guys thought we were done? Hold my beer. Just watching what they did to the point that they made Anthony Edwards come out in after game 3 and say, I was flat. It was my fault. It was on me. Number one, I love him taking accountability. That's number one. But the fact that they just absolutely got smacked in their face was one thing. And then game 4 was last night. And Aaron Gordon with dreads or braids is a different Aaron Gordon. He should have got these a long time ago in Orlando. He might have been the superstar at this point in time. I don't think he missed a 3 last night. I think he was 100% from 3-point range, which is absolutely nuts to think about that.
He was 100% overall, I think.
Yeah. He's absolutely going off. Jamal Murray, even though let's start right there. We talked did we talk about Jamal Murray last week with the that throwing?
No, that was after.
Correct. Okay, so let's start there. So game 2, Jamal Murray throws a heating pack at Mark Davis, right? Yeah, Mark Davis. Right? It's Mark Davis. Right. Yep. Throws a heating pack at him. Also throws a towel at him. The heating pack actually goes on the court. His teammate kicks it. I think it was Reggie Bullock that ends up kicking it. And then Karl Anthony Towns just misses stepping on it. And the league says, or I should say, Adam Silver says, it's okay. We're just going to fine you. But most people are saying that if this was the regular season, that Jamal Murray would have been suspended. So it is clear to me, at least, in my opinion, that Adam Silver said, we need you in this series because this series is a great series. We don't need you out. And we're just going to take this over player safety at this point in time because we just need to do that. So let's start there, gentlemen. What are your thoughts on him not getting suspended for actually throwing something in the court? Because, to give a little more background, if a fan would have thrown something on the court, where would the fan have been? They would have been thrown out. If they were a season ticket holder, it would have probably been banned for the rest of their life or whatnot. But yet, this guy's throwing that. Not only did it land on the court, but he was throwing it at the ref specifically. So, what is your thoughts?
It's like when my toddler, like one of my kids, like has like a meltdown and they throw something and they don't think I saw it, so they like do it again, like double down on it. It's like, oh no, I saw you. It's crazy because what if Jamal just like was in the ref's face, maybe accidentally bumped him or something, or aside he'd get teed up and go the Draymond route, right? Probably miss a game. It's consistency with just punishment in general. It's like you don't know. Yeah, it's a big player, defending champs. All eyes are on this series, but yeah. It's silly.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
He wasn't suspended.
Yeah, it's
like
silly.
It's just absurd. Like there's no precedence where he wouldn't.
Yeah,
be.
gladly paid that $100,000 fine or whatever, like with smiles.
Yeah,
they got to be counting their lucky stars.
It's insane. I'm not sure why he wasn't. I have no explanation for why he wasn't, other than like NBA. They are letting a lot of stuff go on the court.
They are.
So I guess they're letting everything go off the court as well, which I don't mind. I guess that's fine, but there's no precedence to go off of here. Like he definitely should have been suspended. I don't know how anyone could argue.
I don't know how anybody can argue this either because I get it. Yes, I think we all agree with this statement of we obviously want to see Jamal Murray in the series because he's the second best player on the Nuggets. We want to see him play against the Timberwolves. Like it started the beginning of essentially like a budding rivalry, and I'm saying that extremely lightly because it's just their first series like this with this roster, right? Or both rosters like this. But to sit here and tell me as a fan that this is okay, it is blowing my mind. Now I'm waiting to see because you now know it's going to happen again under Adam Silver's tenure, and I'm waiting to see if it's a lesser player what he will do. What the office would do at that time, because if I'm that player at that point in time, I'm just gonna roll in. You know how when we were in grade school, they used to roll in the TVs with the VCR in it. I'm gonna roll it in. I'm gonna say pop the VHS in. I'm like Exhibit A. So this is okay, but me doing it is not right. I just think
what's
it's
the rationale given? Like, I mean, Jamal Murray is by all accounts aside from a star and the second best player on a championship team, he's a good citizen. But was there any explanation? Not that it would do anything, but
no, it wasn't in a 2-minute report. It wasn't in that. So yeah, no,
I didn't see anything.
I didn't either.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Enough of that. What do you think of the Nuggets tying the series up after? I mean, Edwards is still doing his thing. It's flat. I want to give Harrison his flowers because he called out one particular person. And that one particular person has shown that he is essentially at this point in time the weakest link. There's also another person that just won the Defensive Player of the Year, and he is the defensive player in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, he doesn't show up. So it's the two light-skinned dudes. I'm talking about Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. that have absolutely done not a goddamn thing on the court and have not shown up and given Ant Edwards any support when he needs it at this point in time. So I'm asking you guys, what do the Timberwolves need to do at this point? Or do you think that now that the Nuggets have figured it out, it's too late?
I don't think they've figured it out. I think they're hitting shots. I think they made an incredible adjustment in Game 3. So what they did, Mike Malone doesn't get enough credit for being as great a coach as he is. Obviously, he's had a stacked roster for a while, but he's been a good coach before the Nuggets. So they made a great adjustment. They moved Aaron Gordon out from underneath the rim a little bit. Now he's more towards the 3-point line. So that's helped their spacing a tremendous amount. Their spacing in Game 2 is terrible, and that's why they got blown out. So moving him over and out a little bit has drawn out Cat. I wouldn't necessarily blame Rudy Gobert. I think Cat's in the wilderness. Like, I don't want to just blame one guy, but he's the one. Like, he's the focal point, and he has to do better against Aaron Gordon. He can't double Jokic at the wrong times. Like, he has to be smarter and he has to be better. But that's what Cat does all the time. Like, when he's not scoring, he presses everywhere on the court, and that's just his MO. So he has to do better. Like, that's really the link right there. And that may help them shut down the Nuggets shooting a little bit. The Nuggets have obviously shot the lights out, but they're getting open shots and they're kicking it out off rotations, and they're doing all the right things and they're making every shot. They literally made every shot last night. So I don't see that continuing if the Timberwolves are able to make their adjustments. But the Nuggets deserve proper respect for making the adjustments they did after Game 2. Never underestimate the heart of a champion. I sure did. I thought the series was over. I said last week, if the Timberwolves go up 2-0 at home, it could be quick. But now I think we're in for a long one. So, yeah, Cat has to step up. And that was my thing with this series. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable depending on Cat to do his part. I mean, Anthony Edwards scored 44 last night.
Yes, he did.
They're +5 or +8 with him on the court and -13 with him off the court. Like, you have to be able to support Edwards and you have to pull your weight, and they just didn't do it the last 2 games.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Anthony can do the mature veteran thing, being 3 years into the league, and say it's on me, I gotta play better, but they gotta score. I mean, he can put up 40 a night and he's on his way to superstardom, but he needs some help, and it's not all that length is great, and we keep talking about how big this team is, but like let's put the ball in the basket, guys. Need some help here. I don't know if the Nuggets have figured it out, but I think just being as deep as they are and as good as they are, and that vibe that like we're good, we're okay. Like, Joker doesn't take himself seriously at all, and I think the only people worried were they essentially weren't worried. They're not playing like they are. Now they go back home, with an even series, and can turn the tables here. So yeah, it's still going to be a great series.
I just feel that the Nuggets are showing their championship pedigree at this point. And you're seeing it with this young Timberwolves team. Like, yeah, Edwards is still doing his thing, and he's not shying away from the moment. Like, he's, as we've all three of us have agreed and will continue to agree and yelled to the moon and back, he's ready. He's ready for this moment. No moment is too bright for him. He's good. But even the veterans on his team, Mike Conley, Cat, Rudy, they've only been so far in the playoffs, right? They haven't been to the top, and this is starting to show. Even with the younger guys, obviously younger guys, we're expecting the younger guys to, well, the lights are too bright, and if they're not there yet. But I feel that this team, they're a great team. I just feel that at this point in time, they're not where they need to be. I feel low-key, even though I know their head coach is behind the bench, I still feel like that is messing with the team just a little bit. Like, I feel like those adjust, like when it's not your guy right there, just not hearing that voice. I understand he's your assistant coach and he's there all the time. He's part of it. I feel like that's a little bit, but I don't want to take anything away from the Nuggets. I just think, to your point, Harrison, the Nuggets did not miss last night. I text you guys in a group chat, and I was just like, okay, well, they're letting them play, which is I'm very, very happy that this whole series they've kind of just let them play, which is it's great. But the Nuggets could not miss. And to your statement earlier, I don't think this is gonna be like this for good. They're gonna definitely miss their shots. People are gonna cool off type situation. I'm just really curious what happens when they do cool off, if they do.
I mean, I said it last week. It was like my theory of like the Nuggets are going to play how the Nuggets are going to play. I think the Timberwolves at their best are better than the Nuggets. And if the Timberwolves can tap into their best, they should win the series. But that question remains to be seen. I think we got to give the Timberwolves a chance to make their adjustments.
Well, yep.
I think they're going to make some good adjustments in Game 5. They were right in that game yesterday, aside from a 14-2 run by Denver in the first half, and then that 8-0 run right before the second half started, and they lost by 8. Mm-hmm. So, it hurts being down, losing 2 on your home court, same as it hurt for the Nuggets, but I think we're in for a long series.
I agree. Sam, you have anything else to say to close this out before we move on to the next 2 series?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but the fact that the defensive player of the year wasn't on the court in Game 2 and they won by 20-something points is kind of strange, but go on.
They play different without him. They definitely play a faster tempo. I don't know if that's sustainable, but they play different without him. So.
They do.
But that's always been a knock on Rudy too. And I think Draymond said it a ton of times. Like, you just can't play that guy in the playoffs because they space him out, and he's not as able to guard on the perimeter.
Well, Draymond needs to shut the hell up because he thought that what Jamal Murray did was okay. So of course he would think that, Of course Draymond would think that. Anyway, but when he started talking about it and they showed the clip, I was watching ESPN and it was just kind of on the background, and they flipped to him talking on his podcast, and he was just like, yeah, essentially, like, what he did, like, I can understand he was, like, upset. It's like, nobody cares what you're saying. We all know you think it's okay.
If that was Draymond, he would be in Singapore.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
If Draymond did that, he would be out.
Well, that's a fault of his own because he's got a crazy track record. Jamal Murray doesn't. So it's just like, did slap on the wrist. They were like, Draymond.
Yeah, that was my point.
We need to drop the whole sheet of what you did, bro.
Right.
Like. Anyway, Celtics, as I said before, Celtics and Mavs are up in their series against the Cavs and Thunders. I'll give Harrison his flowers again. I did choose OKC winning this series, and Harrison said, I don't know if they're winning against the Mavs because of the veteran presence. I could have sworn
I can't take flowers there. I didn't pick, actually, because I didn't know how this would shake.
But our conversations that you had, you basically said I wouldn't get too far ahead with OKC in this series so far. So you did say that, so let me give you the goddamn flowers.
But I didn't pick the Mavs either.
That's fair.
So I copped out.
Okay. All right. So I'm ungiving him his flowers. Harrison can go to hell. The Mavs are out here, and they are playing tonight, and so are the Celtics playing tonight. Do you think that this series goes up 3-1 for both of these teams, or do you feel that the Cavs and Thunder have a chance to even this up tonight? I mean, they have a chance, but do you think it's going to happen?
Which one first? I'll go.
You choose whichever. I don't mind.
Cavs, no. I don't see it for them. I don't love the Celtics. To drop a game like that at home is just weird to me. Like, something is off with them. I don't really enjoy watching them too much. I don't know what it is. I just am not feeling with this team, and they're probably going to be in the finals somehow. With the Thunder, they can definitely even it up tonight. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'll say this. I feel that they can even it up tonight, but the way that Kyrie and Luka have been playing, I don't know if they even it up tonight. They could. I mean, I'm watching this young. This young OKC team is just so good. It's phenomenal to watch this young team, but. Kyrie has been playing absolutely out of his mind this year, and it's the Kyrie of old. Like, you can see the maturity level on the court. Like, it's just, I feel that he's in a different mind space, and just this move to Dallas is probably perfect because the cameras aren't always in his face like they were in New York in all the other situations that transpired back in Brooklyn and whatnot. And Luka finally has, I guess, the well, Luka had the person before too, but they let him walk to the Knicks. But he has another person that can run with him and do what they have to do, and also have some great pieces. And it helps to have Jason Kidd there as well. Harrison, you made a point that I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks it. Watching the Celtics team is so goddamn boring to me. They give me the ick. It just is something about them. Like Sam, it felt like you're about to say like it's something like very similar like that for you too. You feel that way? Like it's just something about them.
We talked about Tatum was it last week where we had the whole you got to cut one guy, and it kind of felt dirty doing it, but it's just this team has plateaued in a way, and it's crazy to say that because they're in first place by a mile in the East. And despite their head coach last year kind of coaching them out of games, they're still kind of there. They made some big changes. I mean, I think this is a Drew Holiday podcast, has been for a very long time. Porzingis has played really well, but I don't know if it's just Tatum and Brown being together for 5-6 years and just kind of.
I think I'm okay with those two.
Yeah,
it's just the supporting cast for me just kind of just is just like.
Actually, I'm actually not okay with those.
Are you not? Why?
I think I'm trying to think of it in my head of why I don't like watching them play, and I just don't think either of their games are aesthetically pleasing. Jaylen Brown is kind of stiff.
He is
as good.
I agree.
And so is Tatum. Tatum's kind his moves are just not as fluid as a Luka or an Edwards. It's kind of robotic. So they're obviously very good.
Yes.
Shocker. But I
Barry in the lead there.
I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy watching them.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I also feel I don't like Joe Mazzulla as the coach either. I like Ime Udoka. I really liked that team with him. I really, really did. He gave them an edge or whatnot, at least in my feeling. But I get what you're saying with both Tatum and Brown, because I feel like they're essentially the same player. And I say that respectfully. I feel like they're the same player, even though Tatum is better in my mind. But I don't think either of them are the guy. They don't have that, as we talked about earlier, Edwards. He's going to go get it no matter what. They don't have that guy on that Celtics team that's just I don't give a damn what's going on. I'm out here to get this. I'm going to go get this. It's just really nothing exciting about them. I don't know if it's my, dislike for the Celtics in general. It's just I just don't like this team. It's old. It's super old on one end of the team, and then it's really young, and then middle. I don't know.
It's Al Horford hitting threes. I'm
left
what?
for dead a couple seasons ago, and now he's playing 30-something minutes a game.
Yeah, I truly think it's just that the fluidity and style they play that I think I'll put my finger on that I don't like. I like creative players like Iverson and Kyrie and Damian Lillard and LeBron James. They're all just have some creative way about them, some flair, and I just don't see it with them. That said, they'll be in the finals and with a chance to win it. Yeah.
If they don't win this, if they don't win the NBA championship this year, do you think this team, as currently constructed, will ever win one?
Meaning
question.
Tatum and Brown together?
Yep. Tatum, Brown, and supporting cast. What's his name? Devin White.
Derek White.
Right? Devin White, right? Derek White, excuse me.
That's a very good question. I don't think so. I think the teams in the West are better. I think I would take the Nuggets and Timberwolves over both them right now.
Okay.
Who's the GM there? Who used to be their coach forever?
Brad
Stevens.
Stevens.
I like Brad Stevens.
I mean, they made some big moves, and they chiseled away at this core last year. I know what's his name was much more of an important player for the Celtics than in general. Who's the point guard they traded? Why am I
Marcus Smart?
Yeah, so it's
Smart.
that was a big move for the chemistry, the core of the team. I don't know. I feel like once Brown's probably more expendable than Tatum is. I think just from looking at a potential ceiling, could you look to move him? Sure, but I still like the moves that they made, and it's just yeah, it's
I think
just
disclaimer, like they're very good. They're good enough to win. They're obvious, Sam said, miles ahead of the East in games one. I just don't like watching them play. That's really it. Like they're very good. I'm not counting them out for that. But I just don't think they're better than the two teams out west. And as currently constructed, they could win the East again,
Yeah, they
sure.
could.
But beating those teams in the West, I don't see it.
Okay, fair. Real quick, as I mentioned before, the Atlanta Hawks have the number 1 pick.
Yeah, go Hawks.
Yep, this is a big thing. It will probably be 2 years in a row that the first pick of the draft will be a French player. It's Alex Sarr is how you say last name, and then the other
That's correct.
and then the other one is Zachary Risarcher. Is that how you say his last name? Whatever how you say it.
You got the first. You got the first
just
one.
stop
Fair.
with your head.
Okay. Don't know anything about Zachary, but I know about Alex Sarr.
Yeah.
He played with Wendy, right?
I think it's definitely going to be Alex, but good for them. I don't know if what this does for the Hawks, because the way that they're currently constructed, I don't like. That's another team that I absolutely could care less about watching. Even though I like DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, but I feel like Trae Young is also taking a step back. Am I the only one that feels that way on this pod?
I think that whole team has. It just hasn't meshed how anyone really thought it would. I think Trae Young has a ceiling, and it's just dependent on who's around him.
Fair.
So I like Sarr a lot. Just watching him a little bit, he definitely reminds me of, like, it's high praise, but like KG type, a little bit of Jaren Jackson Jr. So, and I think that roster needs that. It just depends on what they want to do with Trae. Like they have options. They have a lot of room to move. They can move off Trae. Trae Young's rumored with the Spurs a lot. That'd be a nice connection. But I think now you got your Frenchman right there, so he could throw lobs to him all day. So I think if you get Trae the right pieces around him, I think they could be like a 6 or 5 seed if everything goes right. They were 10th this year. They had a lot of injuries. I think they should probably just stick out the pick unless they get some really solid offers for it. The rest of the draft, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, Clint.
There's a lot of prospects in there that are just like okay, but we'll see.
Clint Capella's in his walk year. I think it's his last year. So I mean that's a big body there.
He can go.
Yeah. No, that's
He can go.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Everything I hear about this draft, or everything I've read for all season, is that it's very weak and one of the more weaker drafts in general. So I don't know if anyone's really jumping for joy here, but the last time
I think it's tougher.
Last time I remember it being a quote unquote weak draft, it was the 2013 draft, and that was what Anthony Bennett and Oladipo, but there was some guy who got picked 15th overall who is named Giannis Antetokounmpo. CJ McCollum was in that trade too, or in that draft. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say there's a Giannis in this draft, but it is on the weaker side from everything I've read.
I think it's tougher to judge now. Like, I'm not ready to call it weak. I think it's just tougher to judge because so much of the talent is coming from overseas now. And obviously the best players in the league right now are from overseas. So maybe we just haven't caught up to the fact that there just isn't that much American talent anymore, and it's all coming from overseas. And maybe this is one of the stronger drafts when it all shakes out because we just don't know enough about it. So I'm not going to write it off. But on paper, it doesn't look great.
Yep, I will second what you said. It's a lot of guys that we haven't seen play because we don't have FIBA basketball or watch European basketball or whatnot. And if you are one of those people that are listening to this podcast that deep dives into European basketball, pat yourself on the back. Go get yourself a cookie from the cupboard. Do all that. You deserve it. But I know myself, and I'll speak for Sam and Harrison, I know we don't dive that deep. We kind of just know who to know there. And I think the last person that I actually like really watched play in Europe was Luka, is because it was talked about for a while. He was televised for a while, and we
knew who Luka was for years. You knew who Wemby was for years.
Correct.
And just on an international scale, and I mean, I've seen these guys' names for a while, but I just don't know. Like the buzz just isn't there, and maybe that's what it is now. Buzz season. I mean, there'll be a player or two that come out of this draft. There always is, but I think just it's certainly not top heavy. Is from what everything I've read.
I think Sarr should be buzzworthy. I really like him. Like I watched after the Hawks got it. I watched a lot of clips on him, and those are just clips and not full games, which eventually I'll try to watch. But I do like him a lot. I think he can be a star. I think he's got all the measurables. Jumps out the gym. I'm in on Sarr.
Sarr as a star. I like it, Harrison. Joker is a star himself. And he is going to be considered as one of the greatest players to ever play this game. This man has now 3 MVPs at this point. I don't care what anybody said. I don't care about voter fatigue. I don't care if you think his game is just basic as hell. If you think his game is basic as hell, you don't know basketball.
I don't know what you're watching.
I will tell you, I love watching the way that he plays. Just watching how he bullies people in there just reminds me of the basketball that we used to watch in the 90s, of how these guys would get into the paint and be like, yeah, I'm clearing you out and I'm doing whatever I have to do. But even with saying that, he is a more skillful big man because he's able to space out the floor, shoot the three. His vision, his way he's able to pass the ball, he is like a mold of multiple big men in one. Like it's so scary watching the way that he plays, and he does it so subtly. Like there's nothing about he's not flashy. He just comes in, hey, how's everybody? All right, just pass me the ball, shoot. Okay, game over. We won. See y'all later. I'm going home. Like it's just nothing more to him. He much rather worry about his horses back home in Serbia. You just got to tip your hat to him. And honestly, if we're really going to be real about this, he could have absolutely won last year too. He could have won last year too. I know Joel absolutely went off, and it's been like him and Joel neck and neck for the past few years. But he 100% could have won last year. And just to think that he could have won last year says absolutely enough about this man. Now, before I get to the next part, gentlemen, do you have anything to say about this man winning 3 MVPs? Because some people do.
I would argue that he is flashy. I mean, no one in the league has footwork like him. His footwork is so incredible, and if you just watch his moves, like there's no one in the league doing that. It's very rare air how he's moving on the court at his size, and then his passing ability. Yeah. Like he's the best passer in the league. Like out of any position, best passer in the league. He sees everything on the court, 3 steps ahead. So I would say, if you're into that type of thing, which I am, flashy passes, good footwork, I think he is flashy, but some people don't like that stuff.
That's fair. That's fair. He's a fundamental. He's more than a fundamental flashy. It's
more than that.
He looks like it from the surface, but when you actually watch him play, he's way more than that. So
he's a mold. He's a mold of his own. Yes, he is like a combination of a lot of great bigs, but he's in his own conversation. Yep.
Not bad for someone who was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So,
God, I love that.
It's so great. It's so great. And,
that's.
Speaking of clips,
speaking of commercials, there's a guy that's been in a lot of commercials, and he's probably in a commercial on your TV right now if you're watching TV. Shaq.
I've heard of
was
him.
the person that
Yep.
spoke to him when he was on Inside the NBA, which I did just get news, and the rumor is that Inside the NBA is going to absolutely be done at the end of the season. I'm hearing that the NBC contract is
signed that?
all but pretty much signed at this point in time. That is what I'm hearing. We'll see.
I think it would be for
the
after
sources
this
that
season.
I see is that
Next season.
Huh?
I think we'd have one last season.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, it's still going to be gone, which
Yeah.
is very upsetting. But on Inside the NBA, Shaq tells Jokic, he says, "You know I love you. You're the best player in the league." First off, when you start off with, "You know I love you," you know there's something is going to come down the line of what is going to come from there. He said, "I want to congratulate you, but I want you to hear it from me first. I thought that SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, should have been MVP. That's no disrespect to you, but congratulations." Jokic took it in stride. He said, that's your opinion. That's fine. And just moved on from there. But somebody didn't. Shannon Sharp on Nightcap with Ocho Cinco. Phenomenal pod. You should check it out. It's hilarious. Right after you listen to this, of course. Said, "I think a part of Shaq, he might not ever admit this, but Shaq sees these guys winning these MVPs and is a little envious." He goes on to say that Shaq should have 5 MVPs. Shaq should have 7 titles. He said he sees a guy like Jokic that's not as dominant as him and gets 3 MVP awards in 4 years. And people are talking about him. Shaq never gets brought up in the discussion when it comes to the GOAT.
He doesn't.
Facts.
So I will step out and say everything that Shannon Sharp said to me is actual factual. I really cannot argue it. It's been known, it's been stated. Kobe called him out during his playing time. If Shaq would have actually cared, Shaq even talks about it in his own documentary that he didn't put in the effort at certain points in time. If he was at top tier all the time, there's no way that the Lakers don't just go on one of the most monstrous runs ever. And not to say that they didn't after having a three-peat or whatnot, but they could have won so much more, and he is still considered the most dominant player in NBA history, yes, because of his sheer size and whatnot, but he could have won so much more. He left so much on the table. And I don't think Shannon was attacking Shaq, even though Shaq felt it, and he went on to say more and even came out with a diss track for him, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I didn't hear it, but I heard of it.
You don't need to hear
I'm
it.
good. I'm dissed out for a little bit. I'm good.
Yeah, it's but Shaq essentially said in his last response, and I'll basically sum it up. He said that, "Shannon, I know that how you got into the position that you are, that you can't talk about me, money this, money that, yada yada yada." Shaq just sounds, as years go by, Shaq just sounds more and more bitter. If I'm being open and honest about it. And I love Shaq as a personality, a businessman, so on and so forth, but he just sounds really, really bitter. Like every time he talks about these people, and he just sounds like a big-ass hater. And I just have to say, I don't think Shannon's wrong with what he said here. I really don't.
My mentor in the radio world, the sign was in my office when I worked in radio. Hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. And I always equated it to, I would want, and this is going to kill Brandon, I would want 10 Brett Gardners over 1 Robbie Cano because of that. And you can kind of take it to this. Comparing anyone's work ethic to Mamba is a fool's errand, right? Because Kobe was certifiably insane when it came to that. And I say that with love and respect. So to say if he had Kobe's work ethic, I don't think Shea's even saying that, right? Like, it's just like, if he had half of it, if he had a third of it, because even the way the game was played, he was so dominant. And yes, he had one of the most clutch, just freak players playing alongside, and the greatest head coach in basketball running his, team too. And that's all part of the conversation. But I think Shannon's right. And I watched this live, and I don't have time to watch pregame stuff anymore. And the fact that I just turned this on and I saw this whole build up, and then it was cringeworthy, dude. I don't know if you guys watched it or saw before it. They were asking, I don't know why they announced the MVP on a pregame show and why they had a conversation about who should win. And Shaq probably not knowing who it was, because Chuck opened up the envelope and he was going for SGA, and that's fine. And he put up an argument why, SGA deserved it. But clearly, what did Joker get? 79 first place votes or something like that? It wasn't close. And we all love SGA, but it was a really cringe-worthy kind of segment. And I think Shaq was kind of just doubling down with, I'm going to look like a hypocrite after, so I might as well just let you know. Or if Joker wasn't listening beforehand, it was weird TV, man. I don't think Shannon was wrong though.
I love Shaq, but Shaq is on some bullshit sometimes.
Yes, thank you. Talk about it.
He'll always do this stuff where it's I'm just saying this stuff to motivate these guys. But again, that's just feeding into Shaq's ego to say, these guys need my motivation.
Yes.
So it's Joker doesn't need you to pile on or push him forward. Embiid doesn't need you to do that. So, step away. Just step away. Do your analysis. We don't need this type of stuff from you because, like you said, he just looks bitter. Yeah. And he may be doing it for whatever right reason is in his head to push these guys along and try to guide along the next generation. But it's a poor look, and it just looks stupid.
It just reminds me of his stupid, cringy, long-ass beef with Dwight Howard, which is still happening to this day. It just makes no sense to me. I'm just talking to him because I want to. It's he didn't ask you to do this. No. First off, this young man has made it to the NBA without your motivation, period. So why do you think he needs your motivation now? He's done what he's had to do. Maybe he doesn't want to be anything like you. Maybe he just wants to be himself. Maybe he just wants to play the way that he wants to play. You can be critical because you're an analyst and you're allowed to do it. That's your job. Be that. But don't sit out here, like Harrison said, and stroke your ego and try to make it I'm doing this for the betterment of the game and blah, 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 blah. Just sit down with your Papa Johns and just relax, bro. You got all the money in the world. You'll be good. And I'm telling you, if this inside the NBA thing is really going to be over, which would be absolutely sad because the only person that will be left on there is Ernie, because it's not going to be that anymore. Ernie is tied to TNT with his contract, so Shaq will be gone because he's not going to do TV anymore, the rumor is. Who knows where Kenny will go. And then
Chuck
Charles can go wherever the hell he wants to go.
Yeah.
So, and Charles is going to get big money thrown at him because Charles is just funny. So people are just going to naturally want to get him. But I just think Shaq, you sound bitter. I know you're probably never going to hear this, but take it from 3 kids from the tri-state that are from the tri-state just like you, and respect you. Just stop. Let's let your legacy live on and relax. You got other things to worry about.
Or just do it privately.
Yes. Yes.
He did.
If you really feel that way, yes. If you really feel that way that I'm doing this to motivate them, just be I thought Shea was gonna win, but Jokic deserves that, and then call him up on the side and be like, hey, listen,
just do it.
He
privately.
said it to the right person though, in the sense of he said it to this guy who, as you mentioned, Hayes, would rather be with his horses. Has made comments going into the playoffs more means that he has to work more. And again, it's joking, and clearly he makes it all of it look easy. But he said it to the right guy because I don't think Joker's paid it any mind since.
No, he won't.
Do it privately. I mean, obviously these guys should want to take a lot of advice from Shaq. Like, he's been in that position. He was most dominant ever. He knows himself. He said himself, like, he didn't get as much out of his talent as he should have. And I think his words hold a lot of weight. They can hold a lot of weight with this generation, but the way he's doing it publicly is so lame.
Yeah.
To that last point before we move on to Sam's power rankings, I think he realizes now in his older age, that he said it out loud, that he knows that he left so much on the table, but I think he's now really coming to terms with it, and he just really doesn't like the fact that these young big dudes are getting all this praise that he should have got. Like, it should have been him, and I feel that he knows that he could have done more. He absolutely could have done more, but you didn't. But as this is also speaking in past tense, or in a current time where you're not playing, you have no hand on the game, period. So just work with Sharif and just go from there. Sam, what do you want to get us to your power rankings for the MLB, good sir?
Yeah, for sure. I actually looked at the records this year and this week and updated that. So good looks, guys. Real quick, number 5. So I'm throwing last week's out because I was not really whatever. Number 5, I have the Braves.
You were pretty close.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Braves took a combined no-hitter into the 8th, and they were 1 out away from no-hitter. JD Martinez screwed that up for them. Max Fried looks great. That said, I'm still worried about the pitching for this team. They've lost Spencer Strider, who could easily have won the Cy Young and is just, great pitcher in his own right. So I'd expect them to make some moves there. Their offense really hasn't even gotten off off to a hot start either. So I know Austin Riley got hurt, but Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna still they're not hitting, and they're still playing as well as they are. So I have them coming in at 5. Yankees at 4. Slow start in April for Aaron Judge. He had a 750 OPS, which isn't great. It's 1.136 now over the last couple weeks. He's hitting 340 with 5 homers and 12 RBIs. As this team goes, he goes. And just seeing Soto and Judge in the middle of this lineup and what it's doing for everybody else, it's
Glaber's still in the same spot. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Glaber hit a nice home run the other day. I know other day, though.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. You missed that? You missed that one?
No, I saw it. Yeah. He's still in the same spot.
At the Dodgers at number 3. Excluding that disastrous start in Korea, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has a 2 ERA with 35 strikeouts in 27 innings and only 6 walks. And batters are hitting under 200 against him. So we'll say he left that all in Korea, and he's just pitching lights out.
You say his
Yoshinobu
name one more
Yamamoto.
Nice.
You like it?
That's pretty good.
Orioles I have at number 2. They're 3rd in the AL in runs scored and 5th in team ERA. They got John Means and Kyle Bradish back, 2 pretty good pitchers. They're on pace to win 108 games. They won 101 last year, so scary for the AL East there. And the Phillies, they've won 20 of their last 25. It's just insane. Best record in baseball. Ranger Suarez pitching out of his mind, Zach Wheeler, and they're doing this all with Trey Turner on the IL for the next month and a half. So kudos there. And I also wanted to point out that number 1 pick last year out of LSU, Paul Skeens, made his major league debut on Saturday against the Cubs. He had 17 pitches over 100 miles an hour. Looked filthy. Got knocked around a little bit, and there was a rain delay in there too, so they took him out. But probably the most hyped pitching prospect we've seen since Steven Strasburg. So know the name Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I know the name.
Livy Dunn's boyfriend.
Yeah. Her boyfriend. So that's it.
Yeah, I know his name too well because I faced him in the show, and he threw a pitch that was 110 miles per hour.
Really?
So
that seems absurd.
Yeah, it seems absurd. I might have jumped a little bit as the ball came towards the screen because I said, "What the hell just happened?" So I know who he is
110?
all too well. 110.
110.
I think I might have recorded it, and if I did, I will send it to you guys. But
I want to see that.
I paused. I
Super
paused the screen
Cooperstown
and I looked
mode?
around
Like,
my apartment.
What level were you playing on there?
I'm only on. I'm not going up. I'm just staying on veteran. I'm just keeping it calm and cool
Okay.
and easy for me right now.
Okay.
Veteran is the perfect place for me to play. But
110.
But it still was 110. Not great at all. The only thing I have to say about this list, outside of it, it was a great list.
Thanks, bro.
I'm very upset to see the Orioles be at so highly ranked and so good, because that means that when we make the trip to Baltimore, that we can no longer buy tickets all the way up top and move all the way down bottom with nobody saying anything, because they're actually good now. And when they were bad, the security guards did not give a damn where you sat. So
No.
Yep.
And they're doing this
Yeah,
all
that's what
without
walked in.
their young prospects doing anything in the majors. Jackson Holiday back in the minors. Heston Kjerstad back in the minors as of today. So, like, that's just scary. The future of this team is crazy. The president of this team is really crazy. If they can just put it together, I think they need another pitcher or two. But Craig Kimball's kind of imploding in the bullpen. But other than that, this team is, I mean, you saw how they handled the Yankees in 4 games, so taking 3 of 4. So it's going to be a long year for them, but that rivalry, but they're a great team, yeah.
it feels like a long time until this comes. It almost feels like a year, as Sam just mentioned. But do you care? The NFL schedule will be released on Wednesday at 8 p.m. And the league has already confirmed the opening night game on September 5th, my birthday month, just in case you cared. The Ravens at the Chiefs, a rematch of the AFC Championship. Do you care? I'll be very quick. I care to see the schedule just so I know, but outside of that, I really could care less. It's too far away. So that's just it for me. I just care just to see what the schedule is going to be.
I love that the NFL just makes anything an event, and it's like
Everything.
all eyes on. Like they didn't even announce when the schedule release was until like a week ago, and everyone's just like, now it's must see TV for the, they're selling it as, and yeah, it's exciting. I'll buy it because I think that's a hell of a matchup. Kind of sucks for the Ravens to watch. I always feel bad for a really good team that kind of falls short, and they're always playing the defending champ on opening night, and they gotta see him get the rings and do the raise the banner and all that shit. But like, it's gonna be a great matchup. I'm excited to just kind of see what the schedule looks like, and hopefully it all works out.
The Ravens are going to stomp a mud hole in the Chiefs' ass that first night. I'm calling it right now. They are going to beat them by at least 2 touchdowns. I'm calling
Clip
it
it.
right now. Absolutely should.
As a marketing professional, I care. I like to see all the little schedule releases on social
That's the
media
best part,
and
man.
all the interesting
Yes,
things they
yes.
do so that I can steal their ideas and do them. So
Fair.
I do care about that. I also care about Ravens Chiefs. That'll be a fun opening night matchup. I'm not ready to determine any winner there though.
Oh, well, that's okay. I'll stand on that ledge by myself, and also stand on
Just
this
forgot
ledge
Derrick
by myself.
Henry is on the Ravens.
Yeah, that's what that went into my thought process.
That's crazy.
Patrick Mahomes
Yeah,
still
I
on the
think
Chiefs.
so.
Though.
He is. But he's not going to have his star number 1 wide receiver, because apparently he much rather shoot guns at cars and ride cars very, very fast. So that's a whole nother situation. Number undefeated right now at this point in time with the schedule releases, they have been for like the past 3 to 4 years, the Chargers. The anime one that they did, like I think that was last year. The last few that they have done, they have been absolutely whoever their team is and the way that they roll this out, they deserve an award for that.
We can give our top 5 next.
We should.
Yeah, that'll be a good
take
one.
time and go through that for
That's a
sure.
good segment. Yeah.
Bronny, as I mentioned, is expected to go into the NBA draft. Big mistake. the NBA's fitness to play panel, whatever, fully gets cleared for participating in pre-draft activities and so on and so forth. Do I care? Yes, I care because we all obviously want to see where he goes. He's going to play with his dad. What is his career going to be like? As a basketball fan, I want to see if it's just going to be the dad curse, that, you know, the son is not ever as good as the dad and really does not stay in the league for long, or can he finally flip the switch here, even though I think his brother is way better at basketball than him. But I'm not going to sit here and beat up this young man. I want him to do well. I just hope he doesn't end up like Zaire, which was also very upsetting for me. But I do care because I do want to see how his career goes, and I hope he excels in whatever he does.
I care because it'll kind of show me where LeBron's going to play next year. I also care. I don't think he's making a mistake. I think we're just going to see quicker how he develops. I mean, I think college and NBA are so wildly different that I think players develop so much faster in the NBA than he would going to wherever he would go at a college landscape. So, I mean, I think he's just expediting the process. I mean, if he's good enough, he'll survive. If he's not good enough, he won't.
Yeah.
And we'll see that quicker than if he would just delay this by going to, I don't know, Ohio State for a year or wherever for another year, and we'd just be back in the same position. So we'll see. I don't want him to go the Zaire Wade route. I think he's a better player than Zaire was when he came out. I think defensively he's got a lot of good upside. I think his vision is good on the court. Getting that shot in order would be good for him. So, yeah, watching like everyone else, so I do care.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'm glad he's okay and healthy. I mean, he had a cardiac arrest last July. That's great. I still think, maybe it wasn't a mistake because LeBron maybe knew what the limitations of Bronny were. By saying I want to play with him and kind of leveraging his own cachet to help his son, and he's in his right to do that. But yeah, we'll see if he can get to the right spot and develop. Do that. His measurables came in. He's 6'1.5". So there's that. But we'll see. He's 19 years old. There's still the book is not closed.
Do you guys think he gets? Do you guys think he gets drafted?
I do, just off the strength of his name. Would I? No.
You got these teams with all these second round picks because the last couple trade deadlines have been included on every trade, right? Like 5 second round picks.
Yeah.
I'd be funny as hell if someone like jumped the Lakers to do it. I think that would just be
like,
okay, now what?
LeBron said he's never playing in Orlando, so that'd be a funny one.
Did he say that? Okay.
Yeah, he said.
Well, be interesting.
I mean,
I don't know if he gets drafted. He's definitely. It would not surprise me if he just bounces back and forth from the G League for a little bit, so he can get some minutes. But maybe that's what he needs.
The way that they're building up the G League anyway, the G League it's gotten better every single year. And these guys, they're actually really developing these young men down there. He's getting a lot of good coaches. The Nets' new coach is from the G League and has won several. He's won a championship down there in the G League, if I remember correctly. But there's a lot of good young players down there that will be able to learn and have been an actual key to a team in the NBA now. Whereas the G League, when it used to be, it was like kind of like the guys get like a very limited chance and then they're bounced overseas after that. It's way different now.
That was my point with it. I think the development and why you're seeing guys like not go to college anymore. They go to G League Unite or they go overseas. So, this just expedites the process for Bronny. Like, okay, you get drafted, maybe you don't make the roster, but you're in the G League and developing as a pro.
I hope it works out for him.
I have one more. Do you care before you go to the next one? This is for Hayes. Do you care? PGA Championship, second major of the year. Brooks Koepka coming off a win. Scotty Scheffler had his baby. He's coming off a win. And Rory McIlroy won this week coming off a win.
I don't care because I don't watch it.
He's like,
So
who's
you already
Brooks
knew the answer
Koepka?
to that. So
He says like, who are
no,
these
I know who all of them are, but
No,
yeah,
we've talked Brooks
Uh,
Koepka on the pod.
I was a fan of Brooks until I found out some
right.
things about him, and I'm good on Brooks.
What's wrong with Brooks?
We'll talk about it later. Rory, I love Rory, so there's that. And
So you do care.
no, I don't. I don't because I won't be watching. So I'll just know.
You should watch. You should watch.
I probably won't. Donovan Mitchell is expected to miss Game 4 with a left calf
Oh,
strain.
okay.
So that just came in.
OG's out
Fun
too
times.
for the next.
Somebody that missed with this opinion is Austin Rivers, who proclaimed
Who?
that 30 NBA players could easily transition to the NFL.
But
Do you care? I want to go, but I'm just going to save my energy. And so you guys, go ahead.
Can we define what he means by transition?
He said that they can start in the NFL. Like, they can, 30 players in the
Like
NBA
right-
can just
like right
he
away.
said-
go
but
right in there. and
I
play.
feel like the more explosive thing he said was that vice versa is not the case.
Possible.
I feel like that was more egregious than him saying that 30 NBA players.
So
I don't know.
Okay, I said I was going to defer to you guys first, but I can't. I can't hold it.
Go ahead. It's been a week, Hayes. Let it rip. You've been holding this for a while.
Austin Rivers, shut the hell up. That's number one. First off, I don't know who said that we needed Austin Rivers to be an analyst for anything, but I'm good on not hearing him talk about anything, period, in life. So that's number one. Yes, I'm assassinating his character. I don't give a damn about him. To talk and say that 30 NBA players can just go to the NFL and play NFL football, you know, the thing that is really hard to get in and then stay in. And also you got like 400-pound men running 4.5s. You're going to tell me that your skinny, lanky ass, most basketball players are going to go into the NFL and be like, I'm good here. There's a few that I believe if they had a couple years of training camps and whatnot, could absolutely transition. There's players that have NFL bodies in the NBA. Bron is one of those players that I believe could do it. I think Ant Edwards could do it. There's a couple of other basketball players that had played football, but in their earlier years, like didn't play college, right? So that's another thing for me is you're talking about these guys that used to play like in high school. There's a difference between high school and college. There's a difference between college and NFL. There's a reason why there's not many people that get to play behind that shield. So you're sitting here and telling me that 30 NBA players can go and get on the field and not get crushed by, I'll just use it even though he's not playing right now, a Ray Lewis. You think that you're just going to run over the middle and everything's just going to be fine and you're going to get right up and just everything's good? And then to say that there's no NFL players that can't do that. Last I checked, there's NFL players that were playing college basketball the same time they were playing in college football in transition. So I do also, respectively, on the other side, I think that would be an easier transition, but with all due respect, they would need time to transition to the NBA. It's not easy either way. Just to say somebody, because somebody is athletic, outside of like the Deion Sanders and Bo Jacksons, who are the craziest athletes of like all time and what they were able to do, you don't see many players do that. There's a reason you don't see many players do that, because it's extremely hard to be really good at your own sport, period. It takes a lot of time and dedication. But I 100% know that probably 27 of the 30 in his mind would absolutely get killed if they stepped on a football field. So shut the hell up, Austin Rivers. Yeah. Yeah.
So you care. You don't care.
I do.
It's kind of just crazy. I mean, if you take out, I didn't see the whole quote. Did he mean like outside of preparing, just kind of like, I am taking this player and dumping him into the other league? Is that kind of like what, just based on athleticism and body type and speed and all of that, is that what he was?
I will find his exact quote. So you just keep going.
I know, you know, it said, I can take 30 players right now in the NBA and throw them into the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA right now. What? You don't think you just take any receiver with some speed and some strength, and you can't they couldn't play basketball? You couldn't drive the lane, if anything else. Like, you don't think Tyreek Hill could play basketball? Justin Jefferson, Megatron, Jamar Chase. I'm just thinking of the wide receivers here. I'm not even talking about like the quarterbacks. The Josh Allen's, like the big dude.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man.
I think neither of these are very possible. I do think if you're going from the NBA to the NFL would be easier for like one or two positions. Like if you're an edge rusher or someone on the outside that has like one sole job of like get the quarterback. Offensively, I don't see it, but I think the transition from NFL to NBA would be tougher because I think NBA is a little more, you need all the skills, kind of like you need to be able to shoot. You need to just shooting, really. Actually, shooting's the one skill that I
Kendrick
think would
Perkins was an NBA player that could not shoot. Ben Simmons does not shoot.
But those guys are 6'10".
Yeah, and what's his name? That is the wide receiver that just got drafted by the Bills. Used to play basketball, and he's like 6'5", 6'7", some shit like that. So,
but that's what I'm like, a 6'5", 6'7" wing. Like, that's not transitioning to the NBA. Like, is there any guys in the NFL that are like 6'10" with size? If you're 6'10" with size, you could probably be a center or a power forward. That's what I'm saying.
Fair.
Like, but if you're 6'5", 6'6" NBA player with some size and some speed, you could be on the outside on the defensive line.
Josh Hart's got a billion rebounds. He's 6'4". So
I don't know about that because I think you're absolutely getting tossed by offensive linemen over and over and over.
I don't disagree. Again. I think they're both.
I do as well.
Ridiculous.
That's why I said it's just
just trying to play.
I love JJ Watt's response, which is like, like, you don't have a job either, kind of thing. Like,
yeah, James Jones went at him. There's so many people that went at him. Just Austin, just relax. I understand. You're trying to stand out in this world because you're now just like a fresh analyst and you're trying to get your name out there. You got your name out there. I don't know if this is the best way to do it.
He says what he thinks.
He does.
I like him as an analyst. I think his podcast is pretty good.
Won't be listening.
He says some off the wall shit, and this is definitely up there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. This is his MO.
Definitely up there is Jared Goff's contract that he just got. He is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. 4 years, $212 million. So that's pretty up there. Shout out to them. And tomorrow the women's phenom plays her first game in Connecticut against the Sun. That is Caitlin Clark. So shout out to her. Shout out to the WNBA. The W starts tonight. And I don't know what game I'll be watching, but I know what game I'll be watching on Thursday, though. Liberty Fever. So
tomorrow's.
No, I said the game I'll be watching Thursday is Liberty Fever. Yes.
I thought the WNBA starts
Thursday.
No.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Hayes is just not watching.
Yeah. Correct.
Got it. Understood.
Correct.
Go Liberty.
Go Liberty.
Thank you. Sam, take us out of here.
Not bad for the Lions. They got Jared Goff as a throw-in to make the salary work for Matt Stafford trade, and not bad, man. But that's it. 134 in the books for Brandon Harrison and myself. Thanks so much for listening. Tell your friends at Chasing Points Podcast on the social media, and until next week, peace.
Nike, you should have gave Asia Wilson her sneaker contract before everybody had to talk about it on social media and force you to do it. Do better.
Yep.
Oh, I would argue that.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you argue that? Just because of the popularity of Sabrina and Caitlin?
Big men in the NBA don't get shoes. Big women in WNBA are going to get shoes?
Well, Asia's a little bit different, but yes, I dig what you're saying. I dig what you're saying.
Yeah.
She's a different player,
it's
though.
Fine.
She's a different player. She's what? What does her accolade say? Give her sneakers.
100%.
But I know what you're saying.
But
Yes.
people, they're still not fucking watching.
Yeah, well, no shit. No shit. I'm very curious what her sneakers gonna look like because I do not like Sabrina's twos. I hate those already. So
I like Sabrina. I like Sabrina.
I love her first one. I don't like the second one, and I'm really curious to see what Caitlin's look like. So
She's 6'4", Asia
I think
Wilson. I thought, okay.
She's a big woman.
Well, she plays.
in
She
the
plays
WNBA.
like she plays the 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, those sneakers just never sell. Like Shaq's never sell. Like they just don't sell because of the way
Shaq's.
they're made. And yeah, well, Shaq's. Yeah,
well,
they Shaq's actually do.
They
sell,
do.
but not. At
they
the,
do.
But yeah, like big. Yeah. Guards sell shoes.
Well, I mean, Charles Barkley is a big player, and he has
He
one
is.
of the greatest shoe lines.
Yeah, he does.
So-
he's one of the. He's few. It's very
it is.
few.
It is very few. KG, Tim Duncan, they had their own, a couple of theirs, but they didn't have a whole line.
No, those were the
Yeah,
foams.
Charles is really like the only big man with like a consistent line outside of Shaq. I'm trying to think of anybody else that was.
Yeah, and that's in the last 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So
It's rough.
I'm glad she's getting her shoe.
I am too.
Now all those people that were complaining about it need to buy it though.
That's the thing. Just
Y'all are complaining mad loud. You better buy
just
this.
like all the people that were talking about Kyrie's, and then he went to Li Ning, and I want to know how many people have bought the new Kyrie's Anta. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, I want the Anta Kyrie's, but I never knew where to buy a pair of Anta except for going on Anta's
idea.
website. So there's that. But
Bronny 6'1" is not good.
Nope.
I just saw that
Nope.
tweet.
Yeah, 6'1" without shoes on.
Yep. He's tiny.
good.
He's tiny.
What's your beef with Brooks Koepka, Hayes?
I don't have a beef with him per se. I just some of his likings in his personal life I'm not too fond of. Let's just put it that way.
Like who?
I just know things. I'll share things that I know. Okay, I just know things.
Okay.
I just know
All right.
things.
I like the shirt that Asia wore the other day with the website on it. What was it? It was like,
Honestly, I think this whole thing with her not getting a shoe and like now getting a shoe has made that shoe 1,000 times more marketable.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like waiting on it is actually made it like, all right, now those people that were bitching about it will actually buy it. When if she would have just gotten it before, no one would have bought it.
Yeah, it's gonna work out in her favor. It's because you have Up in Smoke talking about it. You have like a bunch of different avenues talking about it. So
Nike-
yeah, it's
Nike knows
yeah
what the
they
fuck
do.
they're doing.
They're assholes, but they do. Cheryl Swoop.
think
Cheryl
Cheryl
Swoop
Swoops
had
has one.
hers. No, Sue wore Kyrie's. She always had special Kyrie's made
Yeah.
for her. Diana, no, she wore somebody else's. Then
Stewart has one.
yeah, Stewie she has Puma. Yep, she has Puma. I think Candace might have had Adidas, but I know that's something we didn't talk about.
it was
She's a
Stewart.
creative director for women's basketball now for Adidas.
Rebecca Lobo had
Yep,
one.
she did.
That didn't go well. Lisa Leslie.
Ugh, I'm sure those were ugly.
Ooh, Dawn Staley.
They had to be fire. I got to see Dawn Staley sneakers.
They're pretty
Yep.
sick. Cynthia Cooper,
Cynthia.
Nikki McCrae,
Wow.
Shamika Holtzclaw. She was so good.
Oh yeah, no. I need somebody to put these Dawn Staleys in 2K because I need the ball in them.
Tarasi sort of had one. It's like the Air Max Tarasi, but they were like the shocks, but just
Yeah, it's
tweaked a little bit.
it's crazy. I thought she was definitely gonna get a kick because of her stature and all that she's done, especially now and to this day. But I don't know. I mean, it's not, the league hasn't really been marketable, so it's like, what do you really do? You know?
They got to figure out their scheduling.
Well, I hope they do. And I hope we go to a game. So there's that too.
It's tough.
Okay, good.
Same. Field trip.
Yep, sounds good. Well, I'm out of here because this dog has been absolutely annoying me this whole podcast doing this behind me. So I'm going to go take him out and maybe never come back with him. So I will talk to you guys another time.
All right. R.I.P.
No,
Kylo.
he's just gonna be free. He might be walking in your neighborhood. Who knows? He's just gonna be let go after this, right, Kylo? Say bye. Say bye.
He'll find
You're
his way.
gone for the rest of your life. Bye, pup. See you. All right, guys. Ta ta.
Later.